Welcome to another podcast from Watchers at the Movies. And my name is Chris Nays. You've heard me on previous Watchers episodes. And running as one half of the Castle Rock Watchers podcast. And I'm joined today by maybe a first-time Watchers at the Movies guest. Would that be correct?
That's accurate.
Yeah. His name is Mr. Jordan Wakefield.
From the other Onyx Edge Studio podcast, The High Files.
Yes. I guess
on
that.
that's my parent network, and now I'm on it. We'll see.
Well, today is a very special occasion, and I think this is going to be a little bit different than other stuff you may have heard from Watchers at the Movies before, because we're not just covering a movie outright and then moving on to something else. We are doing sort of a preamble to a movie, and in a director's entire work, should we get to all of it. I don't know that we will.
And background, this director's most recent movie, Chris has seen it. I have not. I plan to see it, and then we can do a follow-up. But that doesn't preclude us from talking about his body of work. That's
right. And I feel that this director, who we have yet to mention, is worthy of lengthy discussion, and I know both of us are fans. So I feel like it's going to... maybe our admiration of his work is just going to sort of pour out of us, and that will be a nice way to see where we both go in to seeing this director's most recent work. I
think that's a good idea.
Yeah, and so let's mention both right now, since we've tarried along far enough. The movie is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and the director, of course, is Quentin Tarantino.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, and I mean, definitely a storied career in Hollywood up to this point, wouldn't you say?
That's a fact.
Yeah. So since it's us talking about Quentin, I feel that we should probably give our sort of background and where we sort of got the jump in. So
Where'd you first... Or, well, go ahead.
Well, I was going to toss it to you first, but if you want me to go first, I will.
No, I was going to say we set it up like this. When was the first time you saw one of his movies? Do you remember?
First time I saw a Tarantino movie was definitely on DVD. Growing up, my parents weren't really the kind that shared R-rated movies with me.
Mm-hmm.
That was more a thing where when I got to the age, they let me on my own choose what I wanted to view and put into my own brain, right? So I completely understand their take on not showing me Tarantino.
Right.
Because it is for mature viewers, for sure.
That's a fact. So if you're immature, you can hit stop.
Right, exactly. Come back later after you've matured a bit. Then go see the movie. Then come back. Or don't go see the movie and go along and ride with us. So, first time I watched it was once I was 17.
Which movie?
It was Reservoir Dogs.
Okay.
And I bought it and then watched it. So I never rented any. My parents may have rented them, but I never was around when they watched them. You know what I mean? I never, back then, sort of early 90s, mid-90s, I didn't get the impression that... My mom is definitely not a super movie-going person. My dad definitely is.
Okay.
But I never got the impression that they were overly enthusiastic about Tarantino movies.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they liked the actors within them, but I never, they never... told me of their fanhood of them or anything like that. But, I would expect it of my dad if he did like it. He would definitely show me movies that he thought I would like. And that
I do the same thing to my kids.
Yeah. So, like, any Spielberg, he was all about it. He showed me it. I grew up watching Indiana Jones, so there in comes George Lucas. Star Wars was crazy about it. He absolutely fueled that flame. He loved Star Wars as well.
And that's cool.
So yeah, Reservoir Dogs was my inroad, and I feel that is the correct way, is to start from a director's earliest work and make your way towards recent days, right?
Yeah.
So, toss it back to you. What was your first Tarantino experience, and how did you get there?
It was Pulp Fiction, but that's because when Pulp Fiction came out, that's when he exploded as a star.
Mm-hmm.
So he was in the zeitgeist,
right?
And I was in school at that time, and people would try to do an imitation of one of the scenes.
Okay.
And then it was also on like some comedy sketch shows. It might have been Mad TV, where they had some bits, and they were the characters from the movie, and it was a Pulp Fiction tie-in that were pretty damn funny.
I absolutely do remember seeing Mad TV Pulp Fiction skits.
Yeah,
they would replay them a lot more than like SNL would replay.
There was one about the Get Medieval on Your Ass scene that was in there. And
I remember the car scene where where Travolta's character shoots the black gentleman in the face.
Yeah.
And yeah, they definitely parodied that.
So then around that time, I'm like, I didn't know what anybody was talking about.
Yeah.
And then I think it was one of those times with basic cable where they would run a free preview of like a Showtime or an HBO or something. Mm. And at that time later, it was playing. So I would catch scenes from time to time, but I wasn't supposed to be watching it. So I would have to turn it off. So I never saw it like all the way through, but I would see like repeat scenes, or I would see scenes out of order, and it doesn't matter. That whole movie's out of order.
Right, yeah.
And then that was that until I started smoking pot for the first time. Was with these people from my kitchen crew when I got a job as a dishwasher.
Okay.
And one was like a chef / like assistant manager or whatever. One dude was like a waiter. And we would hang out afterwards and smoke pot, and we were watching movies. And Reservoir Dogs came on. And
so this was on like a paid movie channel, or
I can't. He might have put it in.
Okay.
It might have been there. In fact, I think he did. I think he said, "What? You've never seen this?
Yeah.
Oh my God."
See, and that's the movie lover's way.
Yeah.
The film lover's way is to get excited about it and just be like, okay.
So he put it in, and I was hooked.
Right.
It was on, and I was hooked. And then I used to hit the video store a lot back then. I think it was like Video Update. I had a subscription to where I could go trade in movies.
Right. They were the layman's Blockbuster.
Yeah. And so I got Pulp Fiction, and I watched it all the way through, and then and Reservoir Dogs. I mean, Reservoir Dogs first, watched it all the way through, and then Pulp Fiction, watched it all the way through, and then kind of just followed him ever since then. I watched Jackie Brown, I think, on videotape also.
On VHS?
Yeah. On VHS. How awesome is that?
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, we'll get to it, but, like, Jackie Brown's one that kind of goes under the radar sometimes for people.
Yeah.
Because Tarantino had built up this expectation. Once you get through Reservoir Dogs and then you get through Pulp Fiction, now he has this high bar standard and things that Tarantino does in his movies that people come to expect.
He switched it up on him, man.
He did. And Jackie Brown, he adapted a story himself and presented it sort of
but
in his
he
style.
actually has a huge catalog that people don't really recognize with him trying stuff like 4 Rooms.
Yes,
you never hear it come up.
Sure.
And it's because he didn't do the whole movie.
Right.
But he did a piece.
Yeah, and he's in a piece.
Yeah, so think of Jackie Brown as like his 4 rooms. Like, okay, you got 2 rooms you liked.
Yeah.
This room's for somebody else.
Right.
Who also likes it, but is not you.
Yeah, do you remember the other directors from that
one
film?
of them was the guy that did was that Mexican
Rodriguez?
Yeah, Rodriguez.
Yeah, Rodriguez.
I wasn't going to say that Mexican director.
Oh,
I was
sorry.
trying to say that Mexican style movie where it was like vampires in a whorehouse or some shit.
Yes. It's From Dusk Till Dawn.
From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah,
okay, so I
Tarantino's
wasn't
in
trying
that.
to call him a Mexican, even though he actually is a Mexican. So I shouldn't be saying any of this.
No, yeah.
But it's 2019. Get with
Listen,
the program. It's a
just
bad
be,
place
just
to
be careful. That's
it's a
all
bad
we
place
ask.
to be cut off when you go a Mexican and then you come in with something.
I
different.
know. Listen, I intuited where you were going with that
Yeah.
because I knew a
But
Mexican gentleman who is in, you could say, in bed with Tarantino in many projects. So.
Indeed, Rodriguez is a Mexican American man.
Now we can move forward from there.
He was another director. There were two others. I can't remember who they were.
Yeah, no, I've seen it a couple of times many years ago.
Rodriguez's room in Four Rooms is pretty good.
Yeah,
it's pretty darn good.
Yeah, and the bellhop sort of character who is the tie throughout.
Timothy something, isn't that his name?
Yeah, Tim Roth.
Timothy Roth,
and he's in one of the main characters in Reservoir Dogs.
I-
So all the way back around.
He's a great actor. I haven't not liked him in anything I've seen him in.
So I was kind of wondering where we should move forward after we do our personal history.
Well, the big one for me that made me a uber Tarantino fan was Kill Bill, dude. It was the movie that was in my head that I wanted to see, and that was just like, oh man.
And so are we talking both collectively?
Hold on. Look up at my wall. We're in my basement. What do you see on that frame right there? Up top on the right.
Oh yes, it's Betty and it's Pai Mei, right? In their face off.
No. On the top there, it's
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't see that. If I'm going to be honest, I can't really see what's going on there.
It's Uma Thurman and Lucy Liu in their snow battle.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I knew it was Uma Thurman, but
Yeah.
I saw the white and guessed that it was Pai Mei,
No, it's
but it
their
wasn't.
snow battle. Remember how they go out in the snow?
Right, in the snow.
But it's a marker painting I bought of that scene. I love that movie. I used to have a poster.
I'm going to get a closer look, and when I could see it a little bit.
Oh,
better.
you'll enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have a deep love for.
Let's do it now. So I think I got pulled into the movie theater by the name Tarantino, and I heard that this new Tarantino Kill Bill film was coming out, and I went and saw it, and I bought the soundtrack. I blared it on my car stereo. I loved that movie, dude. Kill Bill Volume 1.
Yes, actually, right around that time, I also was way, way stoked about Kill Bill 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
They came out, this is a guess, but I think maybe like 6 months apart, or maybe like a year apart, or it was something like that. Not too much time in between. But that was when I was it was like maybe the summer going into my freshman year of college, or maybe it was both, like while I was actually going to school as well. Because I actually ended up doing a paper on 1 and 2 and how different they are. Like one is
They're so different. I wasn't prepared.
One is based on an American version of a kung fu film, and one is based on a Japanese version of a kung fu film.
Yeah.
So the paper was for a film appreciation class, and so that was fun to do. But I remember having conversations with you like I am right now back then about what we thought about Tarantino. And,
well, the first one was an anime also. You can say it's from a kung fu film, but it was you'd see that stuff in anime, man. The excessive blood, just the blood everywhere, that's totally anime Japanese style.
Yeah.
So he's mixing and matching
well,
styles.
the first one is is supposed to be the Japanese.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and then the second is a more subdued, right? It's a little bit less in your face.
A decompressed story.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And the really cool sort of black and white segments, and
it works well to watch those films just back to back as one film.
Yeah, and he's actually said in the press recently that he still views them as one film.
Right. That's like exactly like Hafu. Hafu was written to just be one continuous story.
Yeah, and for background, Hafu is
graphic novel that I wrote. Yeah, graphic novel series, I guess.
Yes, heavily influenced, I would say, by
yeah, or the fact that I loved Kill Bill so much because I shared those same influences already.
Yeah, right. And
samurai shit and
he's a brilliant writer too, so that is obviously going to influence your dialogue sort
Oh
of.
yeah, he taught me a lot about dialogue actually. Now I can't say this of any specific conversation. No, there's a couple moments in the comic, but he taught me that you just take chunks of dialogue from real life.
Right.
Like if you need somebody to be talking about breakfast, if you've had a funny breakfast conversation, you actually wrote it down or you remembered it, just put that in there.
Yeah, right.
Like you liked it because it's interesting, so put it in there. It's interesting.
And it came from real life.
Yeah.
You know, all you gotta do is twist a couple little details, and it's not exactly.
But he has a lot of those mundane scenes where it's like, okay, the scene's about more than what it's about, and a lot of it's about the tension and the pacing too. Like you just told some random story. He does that with the Royale with cheese.
Right.
So I have a scene in the graphic novel I wrote where this guy is talking about ordering from Emos, and he's talking about, how it'll cost less if they split like 100-piece toaster ravioli.
Yeah, right.
Meaning he plans on eating like 70. So it's like over the top, him just being a glutton.
Sure, yeah.
This glutton cop. And he gets a meatball sub with it too, because you can't just have one thing on your plate, the toaster raviolis. So that's in there, and it's I think it's very Tarantino-like. So I was influenced by him, I guess you could say.
Oh yeah, and I, as a writer, not that I'm a writer, but as you are a writer, you absorb everything that you take in, and then spew it back out in your own art. So, I really just feel like that's a natural thing that human beings do. And as an artist, you, of course, wear your influences on your sleeve.
Right.
And do your best to make it unique and your voice.
Tarantino does that.
Yeah.
He directly copies stuff a lot of the time.
Right.
But because he loves those things.
Right. So, moving sort of from the beginning, Reservoir Dogs. Let's give a couple little.
Oh man!
Let's give
what
some.
a film!
Let's give a couple. Yeah, exactly. Let's give a couple of takes each. Maybe go back and forth a little bit on each movie. I think that's a good way to handle this.
All right.
So, is there any student films or anything he does before that you know of, or is it?
I want to say there might have been one.
Yeah.
16 millimeter.
Yeah. So honorable
film.
mention to that, which I've never seen, but if you
Yeah.
have,
I'm sure he shot stuff.
Yeah,
You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that wasn't his first time picking up a camera.
yeah, and we're
Because it was
definitely not going to do
interesting.
an entire history of him.
But yeah, it was pretty young though for
Right.
a director to hit something out of the park, home run like that.
right. We should say he worked in a movie store
I
like the
don't
ones
mean-
that we went to growing up.
Yeah, and I don't mean young by age. I mean young by, being in the industry.
Sure. So Reservoir Dogs being my first, I remember the iconic look of the characters on the box, on the DVD box.
Oh yeah.
It was several
Rows of
panels
black
of the
ties.
characters, and they're in
Yeah.
their ties, right? And with the sunglasses on, and I just remember being struck purely by that image.
Yeah.
And you flip it on the back, and you see
And the movie was only about guys in those black ties. Those
Right.
guys that were in the black ties.
right. It very centralized on one story with all of these elements in it, right? And some of them exit immediately,
Mm-hmm.
and some of them stay throughout, right?
Yeah.
So
I like that choice, by the way. Tarantino selects himself as the person who dies right at the beginning
Yeah.
of the movie. Right at the beginning of the movie, he dies.
yeah, which says some things about him. Is like he wanted to be in the movie, but he may have not been.
He wasn't going to spoil it for the other
Yeah.
actors. Yeah.
Right.
He's like, I know what I'm up to.
What I've heard recently about him is like he could have sat there and said the exact words that he wrote verbatim and did the entire scene with all of them sitting around him. He could have just said everybody's lines one after the other. He knows
Wow.
exactly where everything sits. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
that's
how it
impressive.
needs to be said. All of that stuff is very interesting to me about him. That his scripts are so ingrained in him.
He says he watches the movie in his head
Yeah.
before he writes it.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
well, and then that's good being prepared, because if you're the director, you're running the show, you got to know where everybody needs to be when they need to be there. So, Reservoir Dogs remains probably my favorite still. I like that it's not as expansive as some of his other stuff.
I would say outside of Kill Bill because it has a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
You're probably right. Reservoir Dogs would be, if I had to go to a desert island with Kill Bill and one other.
Yeah,
it would probably be Reservoir Dogs.
I love bank robbery stuff. I think it's super interesting. It happens all the time in every city in America at pretty much every day.
That's so great about that movie too, because he wrote a heist movie and started the movie after the heist.
Yeah, right. So immediately we're getting his style, his imprint as a director.
Or he's like, here's somewhere you never go. You never go here.
Yeah.
You never go here. And that's why this is so inside baseball, but he probably influenced me when we were making LWA videos.
Yeah.
A ton.
Yeah.
Like we had that one that was a downer ending, like nothing worked out well.
Right.
Like Roland and Jack.
Yeah.
So a guy is totally set up as a hero, underdog hero, and he just doesn't win. He just loses in the end violently. That's Tarantino messing with your expectations.
Yeah, and I, as a early sort of, I guess having appreciation of this newfound director, to me in mid to late 90s or whenever I turned 17, it was really interesting to be confronted with this different way, because growing up you get so used to the A plus B equals C formulaic version of the way movies always go, right? They become predictable, right? One of the great things that he does, and I could say even up to this very day with this new movie, he goes places you don't expect him to go. And that's always a cool thing, because almost always going into a Tarantino movie, you're going to get a new thing.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Or at least that you better be prepared for a new thing.
Right. Like I said, he confronted me.
Yeah.
He challenged me as a movie watcher.
Well, it
wasn't just I'm along for the ride. It's this is a new thing, and I'm going to make sure you understand that I have a style, and I'm going to present it the way that I see it.
That's how I actually felt with Kill Bill Volume 2.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, you're not going to do that thing I really loved last time, but
yeah.
do I still like it? And I find that it actually ages well with me.
See,
I watched Kill Bill Volume 2 with greater interest than I ever did before.
Interesting. On a recent watch?
Yeah, fairly recently.
I haven't watched either of those in a pretty long time, at least a couple of years. But I remember being pleasantly surprised by how different it was from the first one, which I was absolutely 100% okay with that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Don't give me the same plate of food twice. What's the point of that? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but coming from what I was going to say, coming from a music background, I am of the ilk where I like my beloved artists to give me different things, not just the same sort of album every single time, because eventually I'm leaving. You know what I'm saying? Because again, we're getting the same plate of food over and over. I want new things.
That's why I'm so sick of even going into or thinking about movies these days, is because everything's a remake, dude.
Yeah.
Like, where's the new stuff being invented?
Sure.
Like, at one point, Transformers was invented. It was a totally new thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now they're even just taking books and making them movies. Like,
that's what I mean. There's no originality in Hollywood these days.
So,
at least not in the mainstream.
I was gonna go through the chronology of his movies. I know next at do you
That would be a disgrace to him.
You know what? Oh yeah, you're probably right. What I wanted to say before we move on, it must be mentioned on the tip on the point of music, is that pretty much right away when you start watching a Tarantino movie, he also has a very keen sense for music choice and
another heavy influence on me.
Yeah.
Think
totally.
about the High Files podcast, or think about those LWA videos. They have really weird, distinct soundtracks.
Right.
Yeah.
And he in Reservoir Dogs specifically, he sticks more around the 70s sort of soundtrack, and actually kind of running throughout, he sticks to that.
Yeah, he likes that. I kind of like it too.
It's music he likes, and he scores the movie how he sees fit.
And he knows about it because he likes it, so he explores it.
One really interesting thing behind the new movie is that, and this is not a spoiler, he took actual recorded audio of the radio station that was popular in Los Angeles at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Took intros and outros of songs and literally implanted them in the movie. So
That's
it is
cool.
The actual guys.
I gotcha.
From the radio at that time, and songs, and them talking about the songs that are in
That's
the movie.
so awesome.
Isn't
it
it
awesome?
awesome?
That's really awesome.
He poured through hundreds of hours to find that stuff, by the way.
Wow.
Which, good
well,
on you.
I do that with podcasts.
Yeah. So, and I wish I could pull up specific examples, but we're just rolling here, guys.
Yeah. So
it's more fun to just talk. So, I wish we had an assistant like Rogan does or something. We could point to them and be like, hey, look that up.
Protocon from Shimmer Comics, or producer Tim.
Yeah, get on it, Tim. This is where you interrupt the episode to tell us what music is in every movie.
Thanks, producer Tim. Now
we can move forward.
One that I still don't know how I feel about was his team up with Robert Rodriguez on the horror double feature, The Grindhouse.
Yes, The Grindhouse, where Tarantino did Death Proof.
Yeah.
And Rodriguez did... Oh, shoot. Why is that escaping me? Is it something Holocaust, maybe? No, I don't remember. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, the other feature. Sorry, Robert Rodriguez.
They paired them together.
Sorry, it was Mexican Rodriguez.
It was a 3+ hour experience where you would go, and they would have fake movie trailers in the middle.
Yep.
In the intermission sort of thing, where I believe Rob Zombie did one of them.
Which made it a short movie for Tarantino, because his particular half of it was shorter than normal.
Also, that's the origin of Machete.
Yeah,
those
and
fake
then
trailers.
they actually made Hobo with a Shotgun too.
Yeah. You know what? I actually really like that became a real thing, Machete.
Yeah.
Because that actor's great. He ends up in some other Robert Rodriguez
Danny Trejo,
Desperado, and some other stuff. But I still think that the fake trailer was the better thing that ever happened out of that.
Well, that just means it worked.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So
totally.
it worked. It produced 2 other movies at least.
So what is your issue with The Grindhouse?
I didn't really have an issue per
Death
se.
Proof in specific, maybe?
Other than I didn't not like it, but I'm not sure why.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, it's so that maybe that's good, that kind of push you into something new territory. But I couldn't just rattle off why I didn't like it.
Well, I'll tell you this, of some knowledge that I picked up recently.
Or why I didn't not like it.
Right. Yeah. Double negative.
Yeah.
So, some recent tidbit I picked up about that movie is that it is actually almost a complete physical copy from another Grindhouse movie, that he just totally lifted everything.
There was the director that did that with Psycho. They remade it shot for shot.
Yes. Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing, is I don't believe it is shot for shot.
No, it can't be with that dialogue and those characters.
Yeah.
Man, what the hell?
It's so.
But it's probably
it's
a
just
template.
It's just weird and kitschy.
Yeah, it is. That's why it's like. Maybe it's like when I drink Hawaiian Punch. I'm like, yeah, it tastes good, but there's no reason why it should.
Well, it's not natural.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
yeah,
Is that movie
okay.
is not natural, really.
Yeah.
And Kurt Russell's character, the stuntman, is like a thing out of a crazy movie. It's not a. It
It's
doesn't
not
feel
even
like
trying.
a person.
It's not even trying to be serious.
No, yeah, and it's
And
campy
yet
for
it
campy's
is.
sake.
And
So
yet it is. It's serious subject matter. It's
Right.
death and everything.
it's the Grindhouse. I actually never super got into that era of movies. I know he's really into them.
Yeah.
And blaxploitation movies as well.
I was big into blaxploitation
really?
movies. Yeah, I
Do you have
rented.
any examples?
Oh, I used to go to Video Update, and I would get Dolomite.
Okay.
I would get Superfly,
Yeah.
Foxy Brown, all those.
Yeah.
What did I have? One of it was either I'm Gonna Get You Sugar. Yeah, I think it was I'm Gonna Get You Sugar was the name of the movie I had on DVD. Yeah. I watched a lot of Black. I like.
So yeah,
liked it.
so that reminds me that he actually implanted actors from those old school movies into his eventually with Jackie
Yeah.
Brown. Both Robert Forster and the female character. What do you remember her name? Excuse me. Do you
No,
remember her name?
who? Pam Grier.
Yeah, Pam Grier, right?
Yeah.
She was in a lot of those blaxploitation movies.
She was Foxy Brown.
right. So,
Or I don't remember if that was the actual name of the movie, but yeah.
I think it sounds like it was right. Yeah,
Pam Grier was in another series, I think, though, of them. I have to look it up.
yeah, it's fine. Tim.
Yeah.
Help us out.
Yeah, producer Tim.
No, okay. So, what movie were we on?
Well, we're talking about Jackie Brown now. The other thing is he adapted it from an Elmore Leonard
Yeah,
novel.
yeah.
And when I heard that, I'm like, oh, I got to check out Elmore Leonard.
Yeah.
I was actually in the Navy at that point
Okay.
when I found out, and I went to the library, and they had some Elmore Leonard. The base library had some.
All right.
And I read it, and it's freaking awesome.
Is it?
It's like thriller in a weird, eerie sense, like the way he paces it and
Yeah.
everything.
And is it
Makes
the same characters from the movie? Is that like?
I didn't read that adaptation. I read other books by him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I got you.
So,
yeah. So an author to definitely look into.
oh yeah, Elmore Leonard. He's great, dude.
Yeah,
learned a lot from him.
I think Jackie Brown was one that I waited a while. It was a smoking session, hangout sesh, just like with you and your buddies.
Yeah.
But it was when I was in college, and a couple of my buddies, the one in specific was a big Tarantino head. He's like, "Oh, you haven't seen this? We're watching it now," And while it takes a little bit more time for things to happen in Jackie Brown, like when they're in the sequence where she's walking through the department store,
Right.
and literally the camera is just following her, going from place to place. She's getting the bag from the room, or she's dropping it off, or whatever. That sort of stuff, I was not as into as some of the previous stuff that I liked about his sort of following around people day to day sort of thing. You know what I mean? But I still do really like Jackie Brown. I think it has a really good story and style to it that is totally in line with what Tarantino does.
Yeah, I don't have any bad memories about it, and also I think it'd be really interesting to read the book and compare them. I think that'd be really
really
fun.
Listen, we got to mention, now we're getting into Sam Jackson territory.
Yeah, we haven't talked about him much.
What? I'm sorry, say that again.
So we haven't talked about him much.
No, we should. I mean, and obviously Robert De Niro is also in that movie, but it's completely. He takes these actors that, of course, they're great. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And you go in knowing, yes, they're great.
But he gets a little extra juice out of them.
Oh,
Yeah.
so much juice. Oh my God. Especially Sam Jackson. He took that guy's career and brought it to a whole nother level. Before
That's a
that,
fact.
he was the guy in Jurassic Park who's kind of on the side.
Yeah.
He's actually I can't say for certain the timeline of Jurassic Park and
I think you're
Fiction,
right.
but,
I am pretty sure you're 100% right.
but I know in movies previous, Coming to America, he's the guy that comes in with the rifle.
Yeah.
And he's just a crazy black guy. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of characters he was playing.
Well,
so
not after that.
now he gives him this platform
Yep.
where it's like, you're going to Pulp Fiction. You're going to deliver this sermon. You're going to deliver this amazing dialogue.
One of the great scenes of the 20th century, probably.
Yeah, listen. I can't, off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you one that I think is more impactful on my on my personal intake of movies.
That's a good point.
Reservoir Dogs, yes, because I hold it close like you hold Kill Bill close. That's probably still my favorite overall story and stuff. But Pulp
Fiction's a masterpiece, dude.
It really is. And again, you have the out of order storytelling. You have things that you find out later that actually are presented to you in the past of what you saw earlier. So it's a very interesting way he pulls that off.
Dude, and it was, as a kid, literally scarred by the rape scene.
Really?
Because, well, not literally, but you know what I mean. On my soul for a few years.
Yeah. So the images are burned.
I thought that they were torturing him,
okay.
And technically speaking, they were torturing him. But I was not prepared. I had no inkling that that's what was going on behind the door.
Uh-huh.
I thought they were torturing him, like, cutting pieces off him or something.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. I thought
until you get more knowledgeable and
because maybe I didn't know what a ball gag was. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you didn't. You don't know that world really.
Yeah. So then when the door swung open right before he kills him, you can see what was going on, and Ving Rhames' character is bent over.
Yeah, it's
or
out of
whatever.
focus, sort of in the background.
But now.
Yeah, right.
Oh, and then now the sound, your memory of the sounds have a whole more wrong meaning to them. And yeah, as a kid, or even as a young teen, or whatever, however old I was, man, that was like, Jesus.
Yeah, again, surprised by where the story goes always.
Yeah.
You're never going to see the gimp coming from these kind of redneck guys who hold them up in the top floor of that little shop,
was a pawn
right?
shop, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a
You
pawn
go
shop.
and maybe he says stick them up or something like that. I can't remember what the
He
dialogue
has a
is.
shotgun.
Yeah.
He says something.
He says something to them. It's two guys, right?
Yeah,
that hold him up. So anyway, of course, also Bruce Willis. We got to mention him. He's amazing in it. He's another actor that was in Moonlighting, a TV series for a long time.
Yeah,
and then
he was in Die Hard before that.
Oh yeah, no, he was an action star,
but it had kind of passed. He wasn't like the older actor.
He was the guy in Pulp Fiction that they sold the movie on. You know what I mean? The script it all revolves around him. He's the guy that got the most money for it. And then, of course, you bring back John Travolta, who had a fading
totally
sort
crazy,
of star.
Yeah, a big-time faded star.
So all of these elements combined, it hits the world in a firestorm.
Oh, it was. They won everything.
They did. And, another moment from the time afterwards where he won a director's award at Cannes. And there's a French woman who is a member, I guess, maybe of the press or like another film group or something like that. She's yelling in French, fucking bullshit, she's screaming,
Really?
Yeah, and Tarantino doesn't know French. He's up there about ready to give his speech accepting this high honor.
Who was freaking out again? Say that again.
It's a French woman. And she's either a member of the press or a critics association or something like that.
So she just couldn't contain herself?
No, she's screaming about how it's fucking bullshit, this movie's a piece of trash, that kind of stuff. And everyone's kind of aghast, right?
I would imagine so.
Yeah, and Tarantino just gives his speech because he doesn't know French, and he's just going to give his speech. He's like, well...
That's awesome.
It's great, and all that stuff's online. People definitely looked at it. Maybe I'll include that in a link to that in the show notes or something.
That'd be a great idea, yeah.
We now resume our feature presentation.
We haven't talked about Inglourious Basterds, Django Unchained, or The Hateful Eight.
Yes, so rapid fire.
Yeah,
Say something about
idea.
each right now.
Inglourious Basterds, one of the greatest opening, however, that first percentage of that big long scene is in the farmhouse.
Right.
One of the best openings to a movie ever.
I'm gonna have to completely agree with that.
Yeah.
I saw this one in theaters for sure, and I see how I am with trailers is I'll watch them like once and then not watch them again and go in, and hopefully by the time I get to it, I have a vague idea of where we're going, or at least like what the subject is of the movie, right?
Right.
But I'm not spoiled. I just go in and let the movie happen. You know what I mean? And don't remember things out of the trailer and be looking for things, right? So as I went through that movie and I saw characters reappear, I didn't have any expectation. I never have any expectation of any
That's a good
thing
point.
like that.
Yeah.
So there's a hot tip for people going to watch any movie, especially Tarantino, man, because
He likes to reuse the same actors too.
he does for sure. Yeah. So this is the first time that we get the actor who plays sort of the main SS character. I wish I could remember that actor's name off the top of my head.
I can't either, but he'll reappear in Django Unchained.
Right, and he's
he-
amazing, right?
And he's in one of my favorite James Bond movies.
Gosh.
And he kind of rose to prominence.
So I believe he's a German actor as well.
Think so, probably.
Anyway, I believe one of the standout things of Inglourious Bastards is that he takes what people expect out of a story about Hitler and
Out
World
of
War
a
II.
genre.
Right.
A war flick.
Right. And he totally spins it on its head.
That's a fact. That I didn't see that ending or even where it was going toward.
Should we
should
we say spoilers, or should we just say what it is?
I don't think it matters what it is. I think that it just matters that I couldn't see it coming.
Right. Literally changing history, the way that things played out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So, like...
To phrase it like that, I mean.
Yeah, that's a good veiled way of saying.
So it became historical fiction.
Right. Yeah. And in doing so, completely surprises everyone that is watching that movie, right? Mm-hmm. In one of the most badass ways to ever end a movie, if you don't mind me saying so.
No, I don't mind you saying so at all. So, yeah, I think that's enough about that one, because we could go on forever.
Yeah.
Django Unchained. Thoughts?
Django Unchained, I remember... okay, so growing up, I have certain family members who are still to this day pretty... racist and kind of proud about it. And
that's unfortunate. Yeah,
exactly. And I've had conversations where I had to leave the room, that kind of thing.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because I am a person who feels like people are people, and we all have our problems.
Like Mexican Rodriguez.
Right, exactly. And I'm not fighting that fight for in this example African American people. I just feel like it's a human thing, right?
It is a human thing.
And so this movie affected me because you get to see this absolutely terrible sort of time in human history, but it's fictional history, right? It's through the lens of Tarantino. So, I just found it super interesting, and it definitely like sort of tweaked some of my ideas a little bit about that entire thing, and you get to see the brutalness of what slave owners really are like. You know what I mean? And at least in stories that have been passed down to us, right?
Mm-hmm. Especially good for that, that made him a hell of a villain.
Yeah,
I mean, if you want to make
absolutely.
someone a villain, make him a slaveholder.
So this is where we get Leo DiCaprio in a Tarantino movie.
Fantastic performance, too.
See, I've always liked Leo. I think he's a great actor.
I haven't seen a movie with him in it that I haven't liked.
Yeah,
so he
right.
becomes my guide. Like, oh, you're in it? Okay, I'll watch it.
Yeah, totally. And
Yeah.
that's totally fair too. To just go in because an actor's in a movie, I've done that plenty.
But
of
that
times.
means he makes good choices. So
Right.
now I can trust him, and it's always good. It always turns out
Before
good.
this new movie, he hasn't been in one since The Revenant, and The Revenant
Wow, that's been a while.
was like 4 years ago or something,
Mm-hmm.
something like that. So yes, he is still very much making choices. He didn't win an Oscar until The Revenant, which is
Which was
surprising.
just no, they knew they owed him, and they're
Well,
like,
sure.
"Oh, you're in another movie."
There's that too. He was great in that movie, though.
Yeah, I bet he was. You can't just straight up.
Have you not seen The Revenant?
I have not.
Definitely check it out.
Okay.
I think you would like it.
All right. I'm sure I would.
So also in this movie, we get the return of Sam Jackson as a completely different character for Tarantino.
Well, what I like so much about the movie was that it was his take on the Western genre. So he's just going through genres.
Right.
And it's a Western genre, but it's not set in the West. It's set in the American slaveholding South.
Right.
And just right there you get, okay, so we're going to have a certain style and tone, but our setting is going to be completely different, so you haven't seen this before. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know he grew up a big fan of the spaghetti westerns.
Yep, Sergio Leone.
You see that going throughout a thread throughout all of his movies, really.
Yep.
Just another aspect we must mention is some hip hop in the soundtrack. I think that really lends to it. It makes it feel modern, but at the same time, you know what I mean?
It makes it feel like his soundtrack choices for every other movie. He just picks whatever he wants to pick.
Right.
Yeah,
and I feel like that choice gives some swagger to Jamie Foxx's character as well that he wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah. So I saw that movie in the theater.
Yeah.
And I loved it. But can I admit something?
Sure.
Afterwards, when it got popular, they re-released some Django movies, and I didn't know it was an older, almost blaxploitation-like film that, of course, influenced Tarantino. I just didn't know it was that closely linked. If I had known about it going in, I'd have been like, "Cool, let's see his take on it." But I don't know why it stole a little bit of magic when I saw that for some reason.
Yeah, so that's the thing that happens. Like,
it's just my own hang-up.
Yeah, and I also that's a fair take as well. Like that, you went in thinking, well, this is all from one person, or
right.
And then that view changes once you get more knowledge about the situation. So,
and it didn't make it any less of a movie, but it just, my own experience was like, oh man.
I actually didn't know that about Jackie Brown until fairly recently.
Okay.
Yeah, like I just never really
did
the research about it or whatever.
Now, to my biggest disgrace.
Okay.
I have not seen The Hateful Eight.
Wow.
But I have a good reason why.
Okay.
I want to see it undistracted.
Okay, yeah. No, that makes sense.
Which means I can't watch it with my wife. There's no chance. And I have like a reverence for the experience of seeing a Tarantino movie for the first time that I literally have not found the time when either the kids are out of the house with her and I can sit down and watch a movie and I don't have to do anything else.
Yeah.
So it's on my to-do list.
Yeah, I would say watch that pretty much immediately.
Yeah.
Like
That's how I feel all the time.
Yeah, and I know, like, yes, you need the right circumstances. Totally agree. So my movie experience with this one is I saw it in theaters. I saw the Roadshow version. So the Netflix version actually is different from the one that I saw.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I would suggest getting it on Blu-ray so you get the Roadshow version.
Okay.
They've added a bunch of stuff. I like to see what the movie was presented as.
Did you see the Netflix version?
I have not yet because it's really long.
Okay.
Yeah, I just haven't found the time. But
sounds familiar.
So yeah, exactly. So what was great about the way they presented this was they shot it in first of all an expanded physical film. So it's very much like some of those spaghetti westerns were like, where the screen went a little bit wider. the desert looked even more vast.
Right.
In
Cool.
like Good and Bad, the Ugly, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And lots of great landscape shots in Hateful Eight, leading up to the bulk of the movie, which takes place in a haberdashery,
Right.
where individuals are shut in together by circumstances, right?
Okay.
So, again, you have Sam Jackson, who, God, the juice, and not OJ.
I know.
So another actor that is amazing, obviously, Kurt Russell is in it again. He plays I believe a bounty hunter.
He's one of those ones you can just pick up whatever movie he's in and it's probably going to be good.
So great. Dude, one of my first really cherished movie experiences is going to the off-brand Blockbuster. It was like I think it was called Owl Be Back, and the over the door there was an owl, of like a drawing of an owl, right?
That is fucking awesome.
Of an owl. And it's one of these indie movie stores that don't exist anymore, obviously. But they had all the B movies, they had all the great movies, they had.
Do you think they'll be back?
Maybe someday. But it was in the plaza right by Cape Town.
Yeah.
So, I would go to my dad's, who lived in Cape Town at the time, every other weekend. One of the first stops would be Domino's. Next stop would be movie store, right?
Nice.
Or switch them around, whatever. And Kurt Russell, of course, in Escape from New York, which the movie cases, I remember them all being just the ugliest brown color.
I remember video stores like that.
Yeah. And they had computer printed Escape from New York and a little badge on the front of it, right? But no, I took that home to my dad's and watched it, and God, I will never forget the first time watching Escape from New York and seeing Snake Plissken and just being absorbed in this world.
Right.
Come to find out, filmed in St. Louis.
I did not know that.
Oh my God. Yeah, a big bulk of the movie filmed in St. Louis.
Wow.
Amazing stuff, like one of the bridges that still exists. I drive on it when I go to Alton for wrestling shows. It's just like it couldn't be better. It's amazing, and all that stuff makes me like Kurt Russell even more, even though he hadn't really nothing. They thank PT Centerville in the credits.
Awesome.
Isn't that awesome? Carpenter and Kurt Russell went to PT Centerville and partied. I mean, come on. Yeah, for St. Louis, it doesn't get much better than
is
that.
awesome.
So anyway, he's great in this movie. He's got a giant Western mustache. It's beautiful. And then another actor I must mention who's a breakout star in this is Walton Goggins. He's been most notably probably for Cinephiles was in the House of a Thousand Corpses movie that Rob Zombie made around 2000, 99-ish.
Right.
Something like that. But he's been popping up a whole lot more. He was in an HBO series recently with I think it's called Vice Principals.
Okay.
It's about two vice principals that kind of battle against each other. It's amazing. As a teacher, especially, you would like
I gotta check it out. I gotta check that out.
He's an amazing actor in this movie as well. He's Tarantino is making this about a small story. It's a group of individuals in a room. There's bigger implications in the surrounding stuff, but it's all about these people. And it's what's great about it being shot the way it was with the wider lens is that when one person in the foreground is talking, way back in the corner, things are happening with these other individuals.
That's cool.
Yeah, so like if you rewatch it, you will see things happen that come to play later. You know what I'm saying?
Awesome.
So all of that stuff makes it super interesting on a rewatch, especially. But when you do watch it, keep a keen eye or look around a lot.
All right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I guess does that move us towards
That
today.
moves us towards today, and I got the idea to reach out to you that we should both see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Right.
And then...
Should be fair and say I have already seen it.
Yes, and I plan on seeing it because here's how to crack the clam of my problem.
Okay.
Is that even if I take my wife to a theater, she'll not talk. Or, I mean, if I take her there, she won't talk as much. If we're just in the basement, there's no way I'm watching the movie. But
So,
in the theater,
is it a
she
thing-
abides by the rules in the theater.
Is it a thing where she wants to talk to you about the movie, or is
She's-
she responding audibly to the film itself, or both?
It could be one from column A and one from column
A whole
B.
range, right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
It
that
might
makes
be a
sense.
random thought about her day pops into her head, and because we're at home...
Now we got to stop the movie and talk about
No,
your thing.
we don't stop the movie, which is irritating. It's
See, that's the
just-
thing is, if I am in control of that situation, pause.
I
Let's
know.
discuss your thing. But then it becomes a thing that they resent you for.
But then also you didn't get to enjoy the Tarantino movie without these huge interruptions.
The way it was meant to be
Yeah.
in the theater.
So sorry, hun.
Is she a podcast listener?
Probably not.
So, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. What do you know about this movie going in? Have you seen the trailer?
I just watched it today. I
Okay.
know very little, which is the way I want it to be. That's how I went into Kill Bill.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything.
And did the trailer give you much more information, or did you feel like it was pretty vague and it's...
I thought it was a little vague.
Okay.
But I could see where pieces would develop and what they were
Mm-hmm.
trying to present.
Yeah, he actually, it's been quite a while since I've seen the trailer, like when it first
Yeah.
premiered. So, I do know that he's very good about trailers. He knows what he's doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
With that, again, going back to what I said earlier, I don't like to be spoiled by trailers. I feel like a lot of them tell too much. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember ever getting the feeling from Tarantino trailers like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Some of to be fair though, some of them I saw after the fact.
Yeah.
Like the classic ones that I didn't get to until I was 17. But yeah, so you know, I as a person who has seen this movie, I got to say you should definitely be excited about it.
Good.
One tactile thing that you could just know right off the top just from looking up for information about it is that it is rather long.
Okay. I expect that with
Yeah.
Tarantino.
So, any predictions?
I heard one little tidbit that it might engage some of these creepy Hollywood type men on a thematic level. You know, the ones that would like take advantage of young girls and stuff like that.
Okay.
I don't know. That was somebody else's comment.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's just the way they saw it or if that was a legit theme
Yeah.
that was in the movie. So that's one expectation I have going in. Other than that, I have nothing.
Well, that's that's how I like to be going in too. So
Yeah, same here.
that makes totally a lot of sense. Well, not much more can be said because
Oh, and I know Manson's in it.
that is correct. Yes,
Yeah.
and he may have even been in the trailer.
Yeah, but I don't know if he's in it a little or a lot. So
Yeah,
he
yeah,
was in the
exactly.
trailer.
The
Yeah.
extent of which his whole thing, you have no idea whether or not things.
because you could have just cut
happen.
him into the trailer to make it spicy. You
Right,
know what I mean?
exactly.
Make
Yeah.
it spread.
I will, I want to be in the most vague sense. I will say there are many Tarantino things that he does, of course, that come back in this.
Mm-hmm.
A theme that has sort of run through this podcast that we talked about a lot is the bar of acting that needs to be hit, right? Or quality of acting, I should
Right.
say. And personal opinion, this goes right in line with that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Leo and Brad Pitt, just really look forward to it because I have a good feeling you're going to enjoy it.
Good. Can't wait.
And also the music element super important to this story, and well, maybe not to the story, but just like the vibe of the movie overall. You
Right.
know?
Well, I'm excited. I feel almost like the only time I feel like I'm going to the movies like it's an event
Yeah.
is either it's Star Wars and not so much anymore,
In your opinion.
or it's probably Endgame was like this,
Yeah.
or any time a Tarantino movie comes out.
Sure, yeah. I actually mentioned that too for a couple of friends who I know saw it yesterday when I was at a show.
Yeah.
That this is very much an event for me. This is like,
Yep.
I look forward to it. It takes a couple years between, but when it comes up, you're like, all right, here we go. Let's go
Yep.
for the ride. Much less so now with like Marvel, because that happens all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I get way less excited about those. I still haven't seen the new Spider-Man.
I don't see tons of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They go by like crazy. So if I can't find time, then I can't find time, right?
Yep.
Tarantino, though, we always make time.
Yep.
And we are going to make time, you and I, to go and see this movie. And then we'll come back and, we'll do this thing again.
And maybe I'll have seen The Hateful Eight by then. We'll see.
I think you should try to put it at the top of your list if possible.
Yeah. The problem is sometimes my list has
If it isn't possible.
zero slots. But,
All right. Well, good thing you can know this is that Hateful Eight not required watching it going into Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
That's one of the great things about Tarantino. Although people do say they all tie together.
Yeah, well, there is Western themed stuff in this new movie too. Like,
yeah. But I think they're all supposed to have Easter eggs.
Oh,
that tie
sure.
Together. Yeah.
I definitely think he said before this is all one universe.
Yep.
Just spread out over time. So,
Mhm.
Okay, so until next time.
Sounds good. I mean, we're literally on the couch. We're just not
Yes.
watching anything.
Right. This has been Watch on the Couch. Until next time, see you next time. Bye.
Peace.